A young woman in South America picked up her new car, sat behind the wheel, held it tightly, and started crying. This was not a luxury car commercial. It was not a Ferrari delivery. It was not a Mercedes, a BMW, or a Porsche. The car was a BYD Dolphin. For many people in China, that may sound almost surprising. The BYD Dolphin is widely seen as a practical city car. It is affordable, efficient, easy to drive, and designed for everyday commuting. In China, it is not usually treated as a status symbol. It is the kind of car many families buy because it makes economic sense. But in another part of the world, the same car can mean something very different. It can represent a major life achievement. It can be a family's most important purchase. It can be a symbol of progress, independence, and a new lifestyle. That emotional reaction tells us something important about the global auto market. The same Chinese electric vehicle can be viewed as an ordinary commuter car in China. But as a premium, high-value product in some overseas markets, this is not just a story about BYD. It is a story about how Chinese manufacturing is changing the global definition of value, technology, and even luxury. For decades, the global auto industry had a clear hierarchy. German brands defined luxury, Japanese brands defined reliability, American brands defined power, scale, and later, electric innovation through Tesla. Chinese cars were often seen by the outside world as low-cost alternatives. That perception is now changing very quickly. The electric vehicle era has rewritten the rules of competition. The old advantages of the traditional auto industry, engines, transmissions, legacy platforms, and brand history still matter, but they no longer decide everything. In the EV market, the most important factors are different. Battery cost matters. Energy efficiency matters. Software matters. Smart cabins matter. Charging experience matters. Supply chain speed matters. Manufacturing scale matters. And in many of these areas, China has built one of the most complete and competitive industrial systems in the world. This is why the price gap is so striking. In China, a BYD Dolphin is often seen as a practical, accessible electric vehicle. Consumers may compare it with other compact EVs and focus on price, battery range, interior space, and daily running cost. The decision is practical, but in some overseas markets, once import duties, shipping costs, local taxes, dealer margins, financing costs, and distribution expenses are added, the final price can rise dramatically. That alone explains part of the difference. But it does not explain everything. The deeper reason is that the value perception of Chinese EVs overseas is changing. In many countries, electric vehicles are still relatively expensive. Choices may be limited. Delivery times may be long. Charging infrastructure may still be developing. Maintenance costs for traditional imported cars can be high. Fuel prices can be a major burden for households. So when a Chinese EV enters that market with modern design, strong battery technology, a digital cockpit, good efficiency, and a competitive local price, it can look far more attractive than outsiders might expect. For Chinese consumers, many of these features already feel normal. Large screens, connected systems, driver assistance features, efficient batteries, and high equipment levels are now common in China's highly competitive EV market. But in many overseas markets, those same features still feel advanced. This is the manufacturing dividend that Chinese consumers often take for granted. China has one of the world's most competitive auto markets. Car companies are under constant pressure to improve products, reduce costs, and update technology quickly. Every year, new models arrive with better batteries, better software, better interiors, and lower prices. For consumers in China, that competition creates a powerful benefit. Better cars at lower prices. For overseas consumers, same products may still feel rare, expensive, and highly desirable. That is why a car that looks ordinary in one market can feel aspirational in another. BYD is a particularly important case because it is not just a car assembler. The company has deep capabilities across batteries, electric motors, power electronics, semiconductors, and vehicle manufacturing. This vertical integration gives BYD stronger control over cost, supply, and product development. In a global auto industry struggling with battery costs and supply chain uncertainty, that matters. Traditional automakers spent decades building advantages around internal combustion engines, transmissions, dealer networks, and brand prestige. But the EV transition requires a different structure. It requires battery scale, software talent, fast iteration, and deep supply chain coordination. China's EV ecosystem has been moving in that direction for years. The result is now visible in global markets. BYD is expanding across Latin America, Southeast Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and other regions. Other Chinese automakers are also moving aggressively overseas. Some compete on affordability. Some compete on smart technology. Some compete on family use cases. Some are trying to enter premium EV segments. But the broader message is the same. Chinese cars are no longer just cheap alternatives. They are becoming serious competitors in the global value chain. This creates pressure for legacy automakers. For decades, premium brands could rely on history, design, engineering reputation, and emotional branding. Those advantages have not disappeared, but they are being challenged by a new consumer question. What does luxury actually mean in the electric age? Is luxury only about a badge? Is it only about leather, seats, and a century-old brand story? Or can luxury also mean lower energy cost, smarter technology, better efficiency, and advanced features that more people can actually afford? This is where the market is changing. A young buyer may no longer judge a car only by engine sound. A family may care more about safety, charging cost, cabin technology, and long-term ownership expenses. A city driver may value software and efficiency more than traditional mechanical prestige. When the evaluation system changes, new brands can rise. That is why the emotional image of the South American woman crying behind the wheel is so powerful. She was not simply reacting to a vehicle. She was reacting to what that vehicle represented. Step forward, a new level of mobility, a product that once felt out of reach, a personal milestone. For many Chinese viewers, this may feel almost unreal. How can a car seen as a normal commuter vehicle at home become such a meaningful purchase abroad? But that is exactly the point. China's manufacturing system has made certain technologies feel ordinary inside China before they become ordinary elsewhere. Consumers in China often experience the benefits first. More competition, more features, lower prices, and faster product cycles. The rest of the world is now beginning to feel the impact. This is not only about cars. It reflects a broader shift in global manufacturing power. For years, made in China was associated with production capacity, low cost, and supply chains. Today, that phrase is increasingly connected with batteries, electric mobility, smart hardware, software-defined products, and consumer technology. The brand meaning is changing. In the old global economy, Chinese factories often worked behind the scenes, producing for international brands. In the new phase, Chinese brands are moving directly to the front of the global consumer market. That shift has major consequences. It changes pricing power. It changes brand perception. It changes competition. It changes what consumers expect from a car. And it challenges the traditional idea that premium value must come from Europe, the United States, or Japan. Of course, Chinese automakers still face real challenges overseas. They need to build trust, service networks, parts supply systems, financing solutions, brand recognition, and local compliance capabilities. Entering a market is one thing. Staying competitive for the long term is much harder. But the direction is clear. Global auto industry is no longer a one-way story where Western and Japanese brands define quality and everyone else follows. Chinese EV makers are now helping define the next stage of the industry. And that is why this moment matters. A BYD Dolphin in China may be just a practical car for daily life. A BYD Dolphin overseas may be a dream purchase for a young buyer. The difference between those two realities reveals something much bigger than a price gap. It reveals the power of industrial scale. It reveals the value of supply chain control. It reveals how fast consumer expectations are changing. And it reveals how Chinese manufacturing is moving from cost advantage to value creation. The old luxury car rules were written by legacy brands. The new rules are being rewritten by technology, efficiency, and global competition, and Chinese electric vehicles are now at the center of that change.